This episode is brought to you by Mortgage Workflow Partners and the Mastering Encompass series, both for users as well as administrators. You can find out all the information about it over at masteringencompass.com. Also, if you'd like to check out what we're doing on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel using the @MasteringEncompass handle. And make sure you stay up to date on all the information, not just with podcasts, but also video content that we bring to you as often as possible. Now let's get on to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another video talking about Encompass Web updates. These are going to be the top 10 updates from the Encompass Web version 24.2 that just launched here in August 2024. I'm going to go through the top 10 things that I found were important. I know you're going to find them important. Let's get into it. Very first one is going to be the scheduler. So now the scheduler is going to sit up in the top loan banner. It's going to show you everything that's coming in upcoming events. Now, the reason why this is important is because you're able to now see things that are about to happen that are built administratively. So all of your teams know if like maybe the NOIA has to go out, maybe the statement of denial needs to be determined, maybe you have to get something that's overdue. Whatever's on your scheduler in your system at the loan file now, you have a full list there at the top. Again, with the Encompass Web settings, it's my number one thing that I think is going to be the biggest impact for people and their company's workflow. Number two, we're going to go into workflow automation. So the workflow engine, of course, one of the features of workflow engine is the automation component. And when you learn how to use that, it's going to be a game changer for you and your company and your workflow. I guarantee it. And so the things that you can automate, just as a reminder, in case you were not aware, you can automate the roles, you can automate disclosures, you can automate the schedulers that I just talked about as my number one change that I really am happy about and excited about. And then lastly, you can automate notifications that go out directly from Workflow Engine. So those are some of the workflow automations that I think are really a big deal that enhance the 24.2 experience. Number three is all about card-based views. So with Encompass Desktop, of course, you're normally limited to your input forms and the way they're structured. What's a beautiful thing within Encompass Web is a card-based view. So if you haven't ever seen what I've done on demonstrations and what I've shown in live meetings with the community is a card-based view. I did a quick qual for LOs, and it basically encapsulates multiple ways, multiple levels where you can structure your workflow right around your input form in this card-based view. It's like nothing else that you've ever seen in Encompass. So I would encourage you to check out card-based view. It's my third top thing from this release. And I think, again, it's going to continue to be impactful for companies that implement that, where you can create a whole set of cards for each role within your workflow without having to worry about an entire input form list. Super powerful stuff. You should check it out. Number four, secondary registration in Encompass Web. Mwah, beautiful. And the reason why I love this is because I did this job for a long time. And one of the things that you have to understand when you're in the role of lock desk or secondary is you're constantly hopping in and out of files, And with Encompass Web, you can do that in a snap. Now, it's important to understand that when you look at the secondary registration on the web, it's slightly different from a user perspective because it's a responsive framework, but everything is lined up exactly where you're used to it being in desktop. So if you do have to get into secondary registration from desktop or web, it's familiar in both ways and the functionality is right there. So kudos, great job, ICE Mortgage Technology developers. You nailed it. Thank you. Number five is e-folder document views and condition views have been upgraded and updated and made really well so that when you're going through your e-folder documents and you're going through your conditions in Encompass Web, you can actually save views just like you can do on desktop. Now, you might not have ever known that you can do it on desktop. I found a lot of folks didn't realize they could change their view. But think about it like a pipeline view where you can change all different things and all different layouts and customize your columns. You can do that with Encompass Desktop for documents and conditions. Guess what? You can now do it in the web. Great ad. Thank you very much for putting that in there. So number six, if you've got an AllRegs license, you now have full integration of AllRegs into your Encompass Web. This has been in Encompass Desktop for a little bit, so it's great to see that it's now available in Encompass Web. Definitely want to check it out. So if you're doing more work and you need to get to all regs quickly, you can find it up in your waffle with Encompass Web. Once you get logged in, you'll see it, click the waffle, and you'll see it there as a little icon for you to click on for your all regs integration. Number 7, notifications now allow you to send to TPO contacts. So as you have these external roles, which is what TPO really means, you can now send notifications through Encompass Web. Like we talked about earlier, we can send those notifications out to include for TPO contacts, not just internal contacts. So that's a big plus. If you're using Encompass for TPO Connect and you want to send out those notifications, you can now include those TPO contacts. Huge beneficial. Previous to this, you could only do this with third-party tech. Guess what? Now you have native tech you can do this in. Big plus. And again, thank you for the update on that. Number 8, we are now doing workflow tasks to show completed tasks. Up until this point, with 24.1 and prior versions, you could only see what was still to come. You now have the ability to have a whole list of the completed tasks on a file. So if you go into that loan, you can now see what's due or overdue as well as what's completed. It can be very helpful if you want to make sure you keep track of things that were done and who did them and when they got done, that kind of a thing. So number 8 was workflow tasks now showing completed. Great job. If you're not using workflow tasks, by the way, you're missing out. You don't have to implement workflow tasks for everyone, but you will find value if you think about it from not only the processing team, which is where you typically start. Think about it from the sales team also, especially if you've got loan officer assistants or loan originator assistants, coordinating who got what from whom and when was this asked and when was it due. These workflow tasks can really find value in those situations if you're not already using them. Check it out. Number 9, we have outbound document mapping for EPC vendors. What that means in plain language is if you're sending out a service order, let's say for sake of argument, it's an appraisal, right? It's an easy one. And you want to include the purchase agreement or contract of sale, whatever you like to call it. If you have the appraiser set up an EPC, Encompass Partner Connect, and if that vendor has outbound document mapping enabled, you can then go into those settings on web settings, go into that vendor, and then go ahead and select document mapping, and then select the outbound and choose what document is coming from your e-folder and what document it goes to with that EPC vendor. And voila, every time you send an order over or send an update of your order, you can actually include that document from the e-folder. And by the way, going back to workflow automations, this is one of those things where I didn't talk about it, but updating a service order with the outbound document mapping could be a game changer. Good example is, again, we'll use appraisal because it's really easy. You order the appraisal on Monday, but you don't have the agreement of sale, but you still want to order the appraisal to get it on the appraiser's schedule to get the property inspected, right? We all do it. The the purchase agreement comes in on Wednesday. Now somebody has to remember to send that to the appraiser, but if you build in workflow engine rules automation to automatically update the service order when that document in your e-folder receives a file or receives an attachment, boom, now you have automation in your workflow, and now that will actually send out the update to your service provider with the agreement. That's why outbound document mapping is so powerful. So that was my number 9. Number 10, continuing the conversation about updates to service orders. You now have what's called the services landing page, an SLP. And on that services landing page, you have events-based messaging. So if you wanted to place an order, you now have a way to go through and update that order with specific messaging to the vendor, and that will track with the order. If the vendor sends back an event with a message, it'll come back to you. This is not chat. This is not two-way, like, hey, how's the thing going? This service order was updated, and here's a piece of communication that goes along with the service order. So that's my top 10 updates for Encompass Web version 24.2. If you'd like the full walkthrough, check out our other videos. If you ever want to check out what we're doing live, head over to the Mortgage Doc community and sign up for an account. We meet every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can always watch your replays here where you're watching this, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you very much.